So, I am very excited today, wondering why. But first things first, welcome to Nuskas with Anushka, where every story matters and every connection counts. If you are enjoying the episodes and insights from our esteemed guests, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Of course, I say this for your own convenience. So, coming back to why am I excited today? It's because today we are having an award winning podcast host and an expert in crafting podcasts joining in. He has hosted over 100 episodes across two popular shows, Motivation Spark and Glitters of Life podcast. He has received prestigious awards, the Hubhopper Podcast Award 2023, the Battle of Voices Award 2023, and the finalist of Podmasters Awards 2024 by the Hindustan Times. He has partnered with esteemed organizations like the Hubhopper, Growth School, I the Gpreneur, and Market Up to deliver webinars and workshops on podcasting. By the way, if you are also on the journey of podcasting or looking out to start one, watch till the end. So, welcoming to the show, Mr. Rohit Kokane. Hi, Rohit. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Anushka. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. And it is such a pleasure to be here and have this conversation going. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely, me too. So, let's dive into your journey of podcasting and how has it, like, how did it all start and about your podcast? Like, how did the existence come into place? Please tell us all
Yeah.
about it.
Sure. So the existence is quite a story for it because then I was always a curious soul. I started a lot of things, couldn't complete them for a reason. We all have such kind of patches into our own life. So the podcasting is one of them, I would say, because then I started learning classical singing. Then I was playing badminton and all lot of stuff. And then during that particular study thing, I took a pause and then briefly I read at a decision that no, I won't be doing something at this particular stage of my life. And then one fine day, I came across this podcasting as a term which was just evolving in 2019 and 20. So that was the period when I thought like I should be giving a kind of a look at it. And before that, I started my YouTube channel as well, which was into a very different thing, which was into the technology thing, like as we see the unboxing and tech news and all that particular stuff. I don't come from a media background, so it was quite a task for me to continue that. And then one fine day I realized that this field isn't meant for me, like the tech thing and all that particular stuff, because I wasn't comfortable. Because and it's not like I haven't faced camera and all that particular stuff. I am always fascinated about the technology, but then you require a kind of a comfort in your own life as well, like whatever you are pursuing. And this is how I came across this podcasting, where I feel like पजामा पहन के भी आप कुछ चीज़ें कर सकते हैं. So that is something it prompted me to do. And I read about it, like I thought about starting with this particular thing and what was all needed for that particular platform. So I studied more about it, because when I started in 2019, 20, early 2020, there were no people to guide about it, like what is the right tool and technical equipments are required and all that particular stuff. So that was the point where I thought like I should be learning about this, I should be doing all that particular stuff. And the story didn't change out there, like I was pathetic with my voice, pitch, tempo and all that particular stuff. Because like you are a normal person, you are just trying to access that medium, not sure about will it work for you or not. So it's always about trial and error. And that is how I started with it. I used to record my episodes on mobile phone recorder and I used to upload. It was just kind of all those gyan I used to give earlier through my episodes. I never go back to first few episodes of mine. And it lasted for a longer period of time because uh, I was just evolving. I wasn't sure at that particular point ki, to what extent I have to give my efforts and time to it. So that is how I started. and Glitters of Life was born first because I thought like English is the thing that I have to target, because there are listeners from European countries and the American countries as well, and it wasn't picking up in India. But then I realized that I have to connect with the emotions of the Indian audience as well. So that is how Motivation Spark came into existence. I thought like I'll be focusing on the Hindi episodes. So when I go back to my old cover art, it always used to say like Hindi podcast. So that was the journey behind two shows where I thought like I'll be starting with the English. So Glitters of Life was meant for it, and Motivation Spark came after that. But then when Motivation Spark started growing, I kept that Glitters of Life on hold. I wasn't recording episodes. So recorded 30, 40 odd episodes and just stopped out there and started to focus on Motivation Spark. So a journey has been great now that I'm comfortable with it. Now I have been doing a lot of things with podcasting. So it instills the faith that whenever you stick to the something which feels boring at times, which feels like there is a lot of work into it, and you keep doing it, then you start enjoying it. People start recognizing your efforts. People start knowing you by that particular thing. So that is how it started. That is the journey of my existence, and whatever success I enjoy on social media is all through podcasting, because I have no other reason to be on social media, because the kind of business I am into, which is totally different than what I do on social media. So it has been a creative quest for me to personally develop myself and to put out the value out there. So that has been my journey, Anushka.
Wow, that's an incredible journey. And I would say it is extremely inspiring for all of the new budding podcasters or these aspiring podcasters, I would say. And definitely, I mean, what was the major difference between the two shows that you were talking about?
Right. So I would definitely say that there wasn't a major difference into the theme or the setup of that particular show, because I was always curious about the elements of life or the self help or personal development. So the basic agenda behind those shows were the same. But I thought like one should be in Hindi and one should be in English. So that was the kind of a thing. And I thought like I won't be mixing up. So that is how
Okay.
it started. And I thought like if I have to connect with the audience from the start, if I have to build my own kind of a existence into that particular domain, I started with another show. But then with the kind of topics I created, there were mostly kind of a conclusion, like what you have to do at the end and how it will be helping you. I try to cover a lot of areas which aren't talked often. So be it like human trafficking, sex education, menstruation, and all these particular topics aren't talked by a lot of people, and men doing that is something that I wanted to focus on. And I was happy with the kind of growth I got with the solo episodes as well and the guest episodes as well. So the difference I would be say would be all about like how I'm targeting the listeners. So with the
Okay.
Glitters of Life right now, I have been hosting a lot of people from abroad. So I want to know like their thought process. No, I want to grow global as well with respect to how people can connect with the various topics as well. So that is the big change into that.
Interesting, interesting. So, since you said that one was in Hindi and one was in English, so do you think language plays a major part in the success of a podcasting journey, or is it just the content that matters?
So basically, content will always matter, but language is all about the comfort. Language is all about connecting with the emotions of the people. So when I feel something which is very like close to my heart and it comes out very good in Hindi, then I would be more comfortable in passing that particular message to the audience, because somewhere down the line, that particular listener is also like listening to me, and he or she is able to relate to that particular emotion. So it's all about like how you are targeting your listeners. And targeting means it's not just about like purposely doing that particular stuff. It's more about how you are going to build that community through your authentic voice. And so language will definitely play a upper hand, because when we talk about the Indian cultural diversity, there are various shows that are coming into existence. People are doing it in a very different ways and formats, I would say. So language do matter. If we see like Tamil podcast is rising predominantly into that particular regional thing, then there is Hindi, then there is Marathi as well. So language will always play an upper hand. But if we talk about what kind of corners we can reach, we just have to make sure that your show is something that all people can listen to. But it's the onus is on us, like how we are feeling comfortable, and we just have to keep doing what we feel comfortable with, which will resonate more with the audience.
Absolutely. I think if we are comfortable in our own skin, that's the best part to
Yeah,
reach out to people also.
absolutely. Yeah.
Great insights there. Thank you for sharing that. And so on LinkedIn, as I was going through
Hmm.
your bio and your, so I just came across the statement that you believe in helping brands and individuals create podcasts that connect with people.
Yeah.
So here I would like to ask you, how does podcasting help in personal branding as well as brand building than the other formats, that we do for
Right.
marketing?
Sure. So, Anushka, I would love to share one thing with you. Like when I started my LinkedIn, I created my profile as my podcast show profile. Like it wasn't a page, but a profile with the Glitters of Life name. So whenever I used to comment on the people's post, I used to write like the comment used to go with the username, but below that I used to always write like "Thank you, Rohit," "Smiles, Rohit," "Cheers, Rohit." So that was something I was doing earlier. But then I realized this is not the way to connect with the people because when I started my show, I wasn't having presence on any of the social media platform. It was fairly new for me. So once upon a time, I read an article in a newspaper. Then I tried to search that particular person on LinkedIn. Then I approached him onto that particular platform and then messaged. Then we booked a show for my show. Like we recorded that particular episode. So that was the process I was going through. But then I realized like I should be coming forward. I should be like people should be able to know me, and during that particular phase of time, content was very different on LinkedIn, Twitter per se, Instagram as well. So it was more about what was going on to that particular platform, text oriented and all that particular stuff. There weren't videos, there weren't kind of audios coming into thing. Those LinkedIn live events and audio events have happened right now, like in past few years. But during that particular time, it was more about the community building and more about like how you can connect with each other on a one-to-one basis. So DMs existed, we used to talk in DMs, we used to have those Zoom meetings or Google meetings to interact with a lot of people into a community. So that is how I started my LinkedIn profile. And then I realized that if I have to connect on a deeper level with the audience, how am I going to do that? And if I ask you the same question, if I ask the viewers the same question, they would say like I'll be coming forward, I'll be promoting myself more often. So that is how it started. And then I thought like this is the way. And to talk about how it helps than the other form of content, I would say, see, there is no mechanism to stop copying of the post. So you can cut or copy and paste it on your profile as well. That can happen with the text content. You can like write the same captions one has written and put it across on your feed. But with the podcasting, your voice is unique, your thoughts are unique, your emotions are unique. The way you are feeling right now is something like will always change. So right now I'm feeling very happy recording this episode, the next moment I would be angry if something goes wrong. So that reflects through podcasting, that reflects through your voice. You remember your own stories, you remember those incidents, and when you start narrating those all emotional connects, whatever thematic arcs you create into your own episodes, that will reflect. And that is how podcasting really helps individuals and the brands to stand out from others. Because if you see like a lot of YouTubers were doing YouTube thing, now all of them are podcasters. So there has been a drastic shift into that particular thing, not just because YouTube is quite saturated, because this place deserves the kind of interaction that we are doing. And I always say this, Anushka, whatever we do more often, like so right now we are doing a lot of things like which is something you can go to any extent with respect to a particular thing. So the more you do it, the more you feel that we should be going back to the roots or the earlier days. So YouTube started feeling saturated. Now people are looking forward to those one-to-one conversations because they felt that this kind of approach is missing into the human life, because we all got busy, we are just scrolling, we are just into our own rooms and not talking with other people. Now with the podcasting, we are doing that, we are establishing connecting connections. So how in my dreams I would have imagined, like I just commented on your post, that is how we got connected. So it just offers you the kind of opportunity to connect with the people. And again, these are the raw and real thoughts. It isn't scripted. You never know like what is the next word that you are going to utter from your mouth. So that is how it helps you to gauge the difference. And when it is about the audio or the video, we don't have any kind of limitations. If we want to go into a t-shaped learning where the topic is quite vast or the wide, but if you have to go into a depth, then podcasting does offer. So brands are able to establish themselves or their brands through podcasting, because they want to share more and more information with the audience, and that is how they are leveraging this particular platform. And I feel that it will grow, but only with the people who are willing to stick with it. So that is the core difference, where you can connect with the emotions, where you feel that it can offer in-depth explanation to each and every topic, and where you feel that you have to build a real and raw community where you yourself are expressing those particular thoughts and you are comfortable with it.
Absolutely great thoughts there, Rohit. And even I also very much agree with you that when it's raw, it is real.
Yeah.
And that's how I think everybody should be moving ahead. And definitely, I mean, yeah, I know a podcast has been a rage since a long time, and it's just moving on and it's increasing day by day. But yeah, it's such a great platform, like you said, for personal branding as well as brand building. And I mean, you are there to go back also into nostalgia to,
Yeah.
I mean, understand how did you actually start and where have you reached. So, you have that kind of an insight into your own journey also. And it also, I think, when you start talking, it also gives you more insights and more ideas.
Right.
So, I think I think it's a win-win for
Yeah.
everybody.
And we go into those unexplored territories as well, like if
Absolutely.
something pops up, if that question is quite interesting, you'll be having a thought though, yes, I'm not knowing this particular thing, I'll be eager to learn more about it. So it is
Yeah.
that particular approach that will help.
True, true. Any such brand, if you can like just tell us an example of any such brand who has, you know, come onto your podcast and has been doing really great after, reaching out to you.
So, Anushka, I would be totally honest with you. See, for each and every person, it's more about like what kind of conversations you want to have. Every person is looking out for the opportunities. So, when I interacted first with Indranil Chitale of Chitale Bandhu Mithai Wale, no one in my town had ever opportunity to have that conversation with them. So, it was
Right.
more that kind of a conversation where people were feeling that I'm exploring a lot of other things, like how is the business being running since a lot of years, what is something that they are doing different, what are the strategies that they are deploying. See, they are huge brand. So for me it was an opportunity to go deeper into their brand strategy, or see like how they are helping their own business in growing, what shapes the future vision and all that particular stuff. Then I also had this conversation with the founder of Namya Foods. She was also on a Shark Tank. So it's more about like those particular brands who have been building their own brands through whatever means, the products or services. But once they come onto your show, once they have those conversation, people start relating to that particular conditions of how they have been building those particular brands, and people also buy from that particular. So I had my friends who were buying products just after listening to that particular episode, or they were looking for the discount codes or coupons if something was offered of that sort. So it's always a learning opportunity for both the individuals, I would say. Whatever conversations that we are doing, it's a collaborative effort. It's not just about like they'll be getting more reach, though we are highlighted, like a person who is speaking is always highlighted through the interviews or the guest speaker interviews. But it helps in brand building for you as well as a host, because like you are doing a good job, you're calling upon various individuals. So it's that particular approach that we have to see. And again, it's not just about like how it will help them to grow their business, but what kind of conversations we are having, how it is going to help. So whenever I interact with one of the guests, they'll be also sharing the details about like, yes, you can connect with this particular person, you can have those conversations with them, they are into a similar journey. So you get more and more audience for your own niche as well, and for the guest episodes as well. So that is usually happening through the guest episodes, I would say. And brand building surely happens, because in past I have also done sponsorships with respect to putting out ads of the various brands. So there was this founder, I recorded an episode with Zinal Doshi. So she is the founder of the Flapper Life, which is the travel company for women. So it's more about like what kind of unique stories you have got, what kind of conversations that you want to have with those people, and what is the targeted outcome or the conclusion that you are looking to achieve from that particular episode. And if you are meeting those particular expectations, then you are always going to grow, because those episodes are not for you. We have to remember that those episodes are for the people, the audience that you are building, the viewers that you are looking forward to. So ultimately, all of this would be vanity metrics of the likes, followers, and all that stuff. But that is how the brand grows, that is how the numbers will grow. And again, numbers and emotions and all that particular thing is a different story to talk about. But it does help in achieving your goals as well and their goals as well, because somewhere down the line, you never know what kind of business opportunities you may get or you may have with them. So that is how it grows.
True. I mean, that was a quite in-depth insight into personal branding and brand building. And also, I mean, as a Chitle Bandhu consumer, I've also like had it since my childhood, but
Yeah,
have never known the story behind the brand. So, I mean, if like covering such stories where, we have been a consumer since years, but when it's coming out live and, the founder is talking about their journey and about the brand, how did they build? I think that's going to be an amazing takeaway for me also as a consumer.
absolutely.
So,
And yeah, it's more about like what is your thought process behind reaching out to that particular person, because we
yes,
always feel that that person is beyond my reach. But then
yeah.
I have done a lot of emails and DMs to such people. I don't shy away. Like it's not my loss and not their loss as well. So, but it's more about like if you get an opportunity to talk with certain individuals, people are free to exchange their personal numbers as well to talk with them. And that is how, like, that was something that I recorded my episode late in the night after 10:30 p.m. when he got free. So such people, like, people are modest, people are willing to give their time and whatever they feel about like how they are growing the business, because it's all about collaborations, it's all about like the competitive edge that you can create when you have those insights. Again, the application remains with us, but it's all about like how you're going to apply those things.
And absolutely, we are in an era of collaboration. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a win-win for everybody. And I mean, yes, like you said, that being a podcast, you have to keep your ego aside and, keep
Absolutely.
chasing behind people to get your esteemed guests on your show. And I mean, yeah, that's what it is all about.
Just to add one thing, you talked about esteemed guests as well, but I also had an opportunity interacting with such people who don't have a kind of a social media presence or
Uh,
so as well. But
okay.
those conversations were so raw and real, those conversations were so in depth, because they were itching to share their stories, they
Yeah.
wanted to share their authentic selves to the people out there. And that is something that we should be eyeing for, because again, we may have celebrities, they may be having good growth, whatever they will be talking will be followed by the people. But there are certain conversations that you can have within your own family members as well, within your own circle as well, where people are not on social media, but they have got amazing stories to tell and amazing insights to learn from. So again, don't miss out on those things as well.
True. I will take that point and very well noted. Thank you for sharing that. So, since you were talking about numbers, I think numbers is very big time crucial factor for all of us. And if we presume money as a measure of success these days, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how successful would you rate your podcast to be? And how much do you earn on an average with one podcast episode?
So, to talk about the data or the numbers, I would say don't always go with the data. Always trust your gut feeling as well, because if you keep inclined towards the data, you won't be ever satisfied, because you feel that I should be doing more, I should be putting in a lot of efforts as well, and no two people will be having the same journey. So if I'm going to compare someone like Raj Shamani or Ranveer alllahbadia or Joe Rogan, I'm not going to match their numbers right now, because I'm not putting enough of time and effort to it. But those people are doing those things day and night out there. So it's that particular thing. About the success, it's all about like how you're going to measure that. Uh, for few people, the success would be about talking with the individuals and making connections and then making business out of it. That can happen. For few people it would be directly earning from podcast, but that scenario is quite gray into the Indian podcasting industry. I have to be very honest with it. I don't like I don't want to give out fancy things out to the audience, because if something doesn't exist, then you don't have to talk about that. So if we talk about the direct monetization, it has always been through uh, the host platform paying you. So either Spotify for podcasters pay you for whatever people are listening, which is quite growing into the European and American country. It is quite active, but here in India they are starting right now. So since like 2020, or like we are now in 2020, we would be in 2025 very soon. 5 years down the line, people haven't been paid through platform. So it was more about depending on to whatever partnerships that you are building. So earlier I used to do sponsorships through ads and all that particular stuff, because I used to have those ads. I used to put in the external links for people to buy those products and services, so I used to get paid for that. And again, if someone buys that product or services, you get the affiliate thing as well. So in a way, it is a way to build your monetization thing. I would say that people are eyeing for the brand sponsorships, which is quite hard for each and every person, because something like they again go back to the data, they again go back to like what they are getting in return. So rather than targeting that, affiliate marketing is something which is a low hanging fruit that we can target on, because you can certainly enter into your own episodes. You can ask people to do that. I used to do that into my own episodes. I used to attach the book links into my own episode descriptions. People used to buy. I earned affiliate commission as well. So these are the strategies that you have to see what is working right now, how you are going to approach to the potential sponsors. Because if you are running one particular ad, and if you're how many minutes of ads you are creating for that particular episode, like through that episode, that you have to see. So if you are able to do a simple mathematics and see like what kind of rates you can have into your own shows, how you're going to earn from it, then that is something your own calculation has to be taken place of. But earning directly through podcasting, it's still kind of a juggling act for each and every individual, because it requires a lot of investment as well. Like if you see into the one-to-one setup, there are videography, cinematography, and all that particular stuff. So it calls for a lot of investment as well, but on a different level as well. So as I said, like success of the show depends on each and every person's way of looking at it. So for me, through conversations, through building connections, I would rate it a 10 on 10. Earning, I would say like somewhere between 6 to 8, I would say, because it fluctuates. It depends on like how you're going to earn. I used to earn through the guest recordings as well, because brands used to approach, people wanted to be on my show. So that is something. But again, this is a disclaimer that you have to do your own study. You have to see if that particular person fits into your own show. If a brand is willing to pay, and then you're calling them, and if it doesn't suits your niche, if it is not going to help you to grow your audience, then nothing is going to happen. Because once they come on your show, they are going to talk about themselves, they're going to sell their products or services, and you don't want your audience to be felt that this was something kind of a very salesy thing. So you just have to remember that. So if people are offering you money for that, do take it, because investment is there. No one can run it for free for a longer period of time. And once we are the independent podcasters, for that matter, we don't have a lot of support into that. We are investing our own time, effort, and money into it. So that would be my advice it. And if we talk about more in money terms, for me it has been a kind of a passive thing right now, because through creative strategy for the brands and individuals, I have been able to manage their shows. I am also associated with the podcast production company Done For You podcast, where we launch and manage podcasts. So these all factors came in place where I was consistent with my own efforts of running a podcast. I understood how it works. I'm still learning, because each and every day it's all about learning something new about podcasting, because each and every person is going to share their own learning experiences. So that is how you grow, and that is how you learn. So about that particular thing, monetization is something that we have to see like how it is growing, and that would be the kind of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, what you said, like earning is definitely important, but again, to not deviate from what your audience, what audience you've set, and just getting someone for the sake of getting is also not serving the purpose.
Yeah.
for you and your show. And of course, we as podcast hosts also, this is like a personal branding platform for
Huh?
us too. So I think, yeah, that just like does not solve the purpose then.
Right.
So yeah.
Uh, just to talk about like how much money I do earn, I would just like to say that I can also make those posts like thanks podcasting, I got my MacBook and something like that. So
Wow.
that is a subtle hint rather than talking about how much I earn, but it's all about like the consistent efforts that you have to take into picture, and it's always those efforts that you take on a monthly basis, then it compounds. It's not something that you earn it on a month to month basis, but it's more about like small efforts that you take. But for me it has been the passive thing that I have been helping people with that, so that is how I have been able to do that.
Wow. So down the line, if we see, I think 4 years plus you are into podcasting
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And so, like, when did you start making these numbers? Like the actual numbers, if we say.
Actual numbers would I would say like since 2 years I would say, because it was the industry started growing, industry got matured with respect to acknowledging podcasting as a platform where you can share your stories or whatever you feel like. So this is the right stage if someone is willing to start a podcast, because I was hoping like in 2025 people will be maturing, there will be few people who will be left with the people who want to continue doing it. So there is always a phase where people enter and then it creates a bottleneck. So
Yeah.
only the people who are willing to give their time and effort to it, how they're going to build their own businesses through podcasting, they will stick in near future to come. But 2 years down the line, the industry has grown massively. We have seen brands coming into picture, we have seen people getting more and more into those one-to-one conversations. So that has been the case. And one more reason is that people feel trusted with the voice, people feel trusted with the podcast, because it is not something which is quite a fluff. You're not bluffing people out there, you are not just talking any random thing, it's your own experiences that you are sharing, so it goes that way.
True, absolutely. Yes. I mean, both. I think the audio and the video, it just gives a lot of trust factor to the
Yeah.
listeners out there, right? Since we're talking about people and, people who are going to watch this, I mean, what is the most effective way of growing your podcast audience? Like, be it on YouTube or be it on any platform, I would say, not specifically, but like, how have you grown your audience, or how would you recommend others to grow their audience?
So, talking about the podcast growth, Anushka, audio always remains close to my heart, because it's not about the comfort, it's not about the resources that I was talking about, but it's more about like how you will be able to pass on your message to the audience. So, that is something that we have to focus on, because with the video, people are able to gauge your body language, they are able to gauge your emotions and how you are feeling comfortable with your own show. But with the audio, it's quite a different thing. You're just narrating something that people closely feel close to their heart, because they can remember those incidents, they can remember those aspects of it, like how you're narrating your story, how you're sharing those minute details. And that is something that I have always focused on with respect to growing my show. So predominantly, if you ask anyone onto this earth like how difficult it is to grow an audio show and how long it takes, you'll be getting multiple answers, and people are fighting for it. Like if we talk from the numbers perspective, recently met a person who had like 700K plus downloads onto their audio show. He's just doing the audio. So that is something that you have to trust. Like it's not that video will give you a growth, it's not like video is only the future, but it's more about like where you feel that your message will be more resonated with. So if that particular platform is working for you, be it the audio and video, you have to target that. But talking about the growth dynamics, it's more about the topics that you choose, the people you interact with, the uncommon facts, misconception, myths that you would love to burst and bring out the unfiltered conversations on your show. That is something that is going to help. How you are like giving out the conclusion, in what way that person after listening to your own episode is going to feel, and what kind of application based thing that they are going to do. Because consuming content is something that we all do, but how many of them are going to apply that particular information? And if you are creating something that will help them as well, it will help you to grow as well, in terms of like the numbers as well, and in terms of money as well. So you just have to focus on to these parts, because building characters into your own stories, building, giving out those insights like the statistics, the data, and all, where these facts are stated. It just makes a real show for the audience. So we just have to see. And as I said earlier into our own conversation, like, you are not making that particular episode for yourself, just not because you feel good about talking about podcasting. No, people want to learn from this episode how they can approach podcasting. People want to learn from this episode like what are the opportunities through podcasting. So recently, when I went to FC College for judging that particular podcast competition of media and communication department,
Yeah.
when I came back to my hometown, people out here were asking about that particular thing. The secretaries, the directors of this particular autonomous college were inquiring like how we can include that podcasting or like the vocational course of media and communication. So these are the opportunities that you have to see, like how you can create for yourself and for the others. So success, the growth, and all these particular parameters you have to define for yourself, and in what way you are directing your efforts. So it's more of that particular thing. And again, having good guests, having those proper storytelling pattern. And no one gets perfect in their first 10-15 episode. It's just the repetition of each and every element that makes them comfortable with the fact that no, I can do this, I am capable of doing this, and I'll be able to do this. So we just have to have that confidence in our own selves as well, because ultimately who we are going to prove to. There are 10 number of n number of people who are doing the same thing, but we just have to prove to ourselves. So that is something that we have to see, like if we are able to build something of our own which helps the other, then growth is kind of thing, like it is going to be quite easier that way. So just don't get stick to those numbers. See in what patterns you can have those conversations, have those series into thing. Because what keeps audience hooked to those web series or the TV soaps, it's more about like the pattern they create. सो हम देखते थे वो कहानी घर घर के में 3 बार रिपीट करके दिखाते थे, मिहिर वापस आ जाता था मर के. So that is the kind of a curiosity that we have to build. And again, at times, if you are having a kind of a educational show, then you can keep some information for the other next episode as well. So that is how you build the audience retention. If you try to give each and everything into one episode, they are not going to come back. So when you're finding new listeners for your own show, you don't have to lose the older ones. So you have to take care of the older ones as well, and then you have to see of the new people as well. So it's kind of a family dynamics thing. हम अपने मम्मी पापा की केयर लेते हैं, बड़ों की केयर लेना हमारी जिम्मेदारी होती है, बट एट द सेम टाइम वी आर बिल्डिंग अदर connections as well, which will make our job easier. So that is something that we have to apply into podcasting as well, and accordingly growth will be there. I'm just trying my hands on the video thing because I have been doing it virtually. So that is something that we have to try. One of the episode may kick with the audience. You may see a different growth on audio thing because the statistics differs. I'm putting it on YouTube. I haven't attached my RSS feed on YouTube with respect to my podcast. But if I check the dynamics, at times I have good numbers on audio rather than the video thing. So how you're going to target those audience, because ultimately you have to see where is your audience, where you are going to promote. Creation is one thing, but
Yeah.
50% of our effort should be directed into promoting that. Because if you are not going to promote, no one is going to know that you have got a podcast. So the growth is something that we have to see. And again, the wider the distribution, the better it gets. So have that wider distribution. Omnipresence is something that we have to see, like you have to be on each and every platform. It's quite tedious actually, because I started growing on LinkedIn. I was active on Twitter. Since past 2 months I haven't been active out there. I have like closed my account out there, like. So it is something that you have to see, but omnipresence is something like you want audience from each and every category and from each and every platform. So that is something that we have to see with respect to the growth of the podcasting.
I think that was a very heartwarming message that you shared with all of us. That as a podcaster, I mean, whoever is there with you and who's been on your journey, I think the initial ones are like your family, definitely. And
Yeah.
of course, I mean, they put their faith into you. That's why they are the first couple
Right.
of people who have, you have been there on your journey. So that was a very heartwarming message for me, and I will definitely keep that in mind in my future episodes. Like, I have heard a lot of people telling me these days since I have started out. It's been a few, one and a half month, I would say, into podcasting. And I just hear that, people, देखो लोगों का तो काम है बोलना, तो लोग तो बोलेंगे ही आपको कि एक एक घंटे का एपिसोड बना रहे हो, कौन सुनेगा? आई मीन, डू पीपल रियली हैव टाइम इन दीज टाइम्स इतना सुनने के लिए? सो बट एंड व्हाट आई हैव नोन एंड व्हाट आई हैव वॉच्ड टिल नाउ, द पॉडकास्ट इज सच अ concept, or that's how it is meant to be. The format is meant to be for an art, like people like you said, Raj Shamani or Ranveer Alavadia for that matter. These guys have more than like 1.5 hour long episodes, and they are doing great numbers. Of course, they are at a different level altogether, but that's what the format is all about. So, can you throw some light upon the psychology of a listener engagement on these lines?
श्योर। सो टॉकिंग अबाउट द फर्स्ट पॉइंट, लाइक कौन सुनेगा, लोगों का काम है बोलना वगैरह, वो सारी चीज़ें होती रहती है पॉडकास्टिंग में। सो फॉर दैट मैटर, आई हैव सीन the podcast shows where the episodes were ranging from like 2 to 3 minutes. They had got millions of views or the downloads on the audio show.
Okay.
If you check out the recent statistics of like how Donald Trump has forayed into podcasting and what were the numbers, close to quarter of billion views, downloads, something like that onto their cumulative episodes. So that is the power of the podcasting. So onus is on us, like you do you. If you are comfortable with 5 minutes of episode, you are totally able to do that. If you feel that a guest episode has to be of 20 minutes just because of attention span, you can do that. If you feel that episode has to be 1 hour long or more than that, you're free to do that. Because there's this one Tamil podcast, I'm not able to pronounce their name rightly right now, but they had this 4 hour long episode, and just because Spotify never allowed them to upload an audio uh, which was above 4 hours. And if you check out those particular statistics of that particular show, the retention span was like close to more than 3 hours. So people are listening to such episodes as well. So it's more about the relatability. And if you're able to catch up with that particular relatability, then you are going to do that. So I would love to share one insight which Raj Shamani gave, like when I attended this Spotify for podcasters. So the kind of content, like if you check out their episodes, they are ranging between 1 or like 2 hours, something like that. So their main footage is of like 6 to 8 hours, they told us.
Oh,
So it's all about like, yeah, that is something that we have to see. And then they cut
wow.
those parts, like, and they keep what is something which will audience like. Because if you check out their content, it's all about the masala type and all that particular stuff. They have the bestest of packaging of that particular show. So his formula is something like the ECG thing he shared about, which is evergreen, which is controversial, and growth. So evergreen is something like if you go after, like if you want to revisit an episode, we talked about podcasting will be relevant 5 years after this particular thing as well. So what was a scenario 5 years back, it is something that kind of a evergreen content, like it will be relatable. So कुछ दादी के होते हैं ना, कि नुस्खे होते हैं कि ये करो वो सारी चीजें हैं. So whatever nuskas you share on your show, that will be relevant 5 years after as well. So that is the evergreen content. Controversial is like you need that for that immediate growth. पॉलिटिक्स का भी सीजन है, इलेक्शंस हो रहे हैं, सो यू कैन टॉक अबाउट दैट. दैट विल गिव यू अ काइंड ऑफ इंस्टेंट बूस्ट. And growth is something like which will be helping you to grow or elevate your performance as an individual or something like that into their own niche. So that was his formula of creating content. They have this style of creating podcast. So if one can have this kind of a thing, I feel that growth will be coming into picture. People will be willing to spend their time and will be watching. One thing which is happening is that they are already celebrity, they already had the audience, we are building our audience.
Right.
So it is something that we have to take into consideration. So we can't match their efforts, we can't match their kind of a monetary investment or anything respect to that thing. But on a safer side, we can always create our own audience. Whatever content we are comfortable with, we can talk about that. So if you ask me to talk about marketing, I'm not a person to talk about. And if I create a marketing show, that will not resonate with my audience or my profile as well. So we just have to remember that very thing as well. You can talk about law, you can talk about something that resonates deeply with your likings, and that is how we build the credibility. That is how we get comfortable. Because uh, if you don't need a script to talk about a topic that is of your comfort thing, like you can start a show around that.
Yeah.
So I don't need a script around talking about life or my circumstances or how I grew up or anything around that, how I feel about my life. I can talk about finance as well because that is something that I have learned. So it's more about that particular thing which will help us to grow the show, and all these tactics will come into picture where episodes will be listened by the people. So if you check out, like if I check my statistics of the audio shows, my first few episodes, like when I started, had more than like 20,000 downloads as well on certain episodes as well with respect to the audio. So the growth comes, but the kind of content that you are giving out to the audience, what they are going to learn and how they are going to apply that, that will be coming into picture through those episodes, and then people will start resonating. And again, who is your audience? I never share my episode links with my family members or friends. That is something which is the basic policy that I have. Like, I'll be promoting myself, but I won't be sharing like isko dekho, like karo, subscribe karo. No, never done that. So I'm pretty much comfortable with that. My audience is something who will deeply resonate with the message and the comfort of consuming their content. Preference भी होता है एक, कि वो क्या सुनना पसंद करते हैं और कहाँ से सुनना. So podcasting is something that they prefer, then they will be do that. Because podcasting ऐसा टॉपिक है ना, मतलब कि प्लेटफॉर्म है जो कि सबके बस का नहीं है. आज तो 10 लोगों को मिलने के बाद बोलना पड़ता है कि what podcasting is all about. So that
Relate.
is the kind of, yeah, so that is something that we have to focus on. And if we are able to bridge that gap, I feel that more and more listeners will be able to connect with us, and that will give the boost to our growth.
I agree. Absolutely. Yes. But again, yes, I mean, that is also a big time challenge to, kind of grasp that audience, grasp that engagement. And yes, I think it's just a matter of time where, you need to be consistent with, like you said, we need to be consistent in putting out our own, like, you said, like, be you, do you. So just
Yeah,
be
yeah.
consistent with that. And I think hopefully,
However they want to promote, they can. But then the limitation comes where the host feels like कि कितने बार इनको बोलना है promote करने के लिए. So
right.
that is something that we have to ditch the notion. If they are able to promote themselves, if they are able to attach that playlist into certain thing, that can be done. You can create a playlist where you have been on other show, that you can upload it on Spotify. Like जैसे हम हमारी गानों की playlist बनाते हैं, हम हमारे गेस्ट एपिसोड्स जितने भी हुए हैं उसकी एक प्लेलिस्ट बना के अपलोड कर सकते हैं. दैट इज अगेन अनदर टूल ऑफ ग्रोइंग योर ओन ऑडियंस और द शो. So that is something that we have to see. So promotional items will be differing from each and every individual. Now people have been running sponsored ads as well on Instagram, YouTube and all other places where it is being acknowledged. So you can opt for that particular thing, but you have to see, like when you are paying $1 to acquire that subscriber, how much return you are getting from that. If he's going to just subscribe and then unsubscribe, or for that matter is not going to watch your content, is like whether you putting in money will matter or not. So that is something that you have to take into consideration. So always seek the return on investment, like what is something that you can track, and then the metrics as well, like कि आपका जो रिटेंशन स्पैन है वो कितना है, कौन से प्लेटफॉर्म्स पे आपके लोग देख रहे हैं. You get these days you get a quite fancy statistics from the hosting platforms, like what platforms they are listening from or viewing from, then what browser they are using, is it Chrome, Safari and all that particular stuff. So you get the idea of your listener persona, like कि उनका persona क्या है, what kind of resources they are using, so you can target it accordingly. You get to gauge like कि मेरी audience कौन है. And again you need to have that age group as well. Like हम सबको ही target नहीं कर सकते हैं with promotional thing. So more of that particular thing, know your audience, see what fits your approach, and then try to market yourself. That will be a healthy approach in growing your show as well, and making more and more waves into the market. Because if we see like what is the differentiating factor that a person should be listening to my show, we need to convey that to the audience through our promotional thing. And it's not necessary like कि studio setup वाले ही podcast grow करते हैं. I have seen people, like there was this Alexander person from the foreign country. He just records virtually, and he have been he has been putting out those clips onto the Instagram channels, and those views were into millions for some clips of his podcast episode. And I haven't seen any studio setup thing on entire like his feed. So you need to have that belief, you need to have that faith into your own content, that whatever I'm doing, people will be listening to that, people will be tuning into that. Again, the quality will come into picture, the audio has to be good, the viewing should be good for the audience. So you can always increase that experience as you get comfortable with that. So those promotional thing will be going hand in hand with respect to your post production aspects as well. So you need to consider those aspects.
Great insights. And I mean, yeah, what you said is right. You have to be multifunctional on multi
हाँ,
platforms.
सब करना पड़ता है.
सब करना पड़ता है. And वही है, like you said, I mean, this I had also never thought of what you said, that episode हो गया है, मतलब second episode, third episode has been released long back, but still you need to keep promoting it so that people go back and see. That was a very important takeaway for me.
And again, we don't promote entire thing ना, so there will be always a snippet. अगर 50 minutes का
Yeah,
एपिसोड है तो 50 snippets एक एक मिनट के आप डाल सकते हो, किसको पता भी नहीं चलेगा कि ये पूरा एपिसोड था एक एक मिनट का. So
right, right.
that is how you have to see.
True. Great. So, isme when we see that, when we are talking about promotion and being on all social media platforms, do you think that this is all a game of algorithm which impacts your podcast visibility?
To some extent, I would say, I won't deny it completely, but to some extent, because at times few of your clips would get more highlighted. It's more about like, why, what is that one factor which is being able, like people are able to resonate with. So whatever clip, like be it your own podcasting, or if you're going to promote yourself, if you are putting out your own video, audio, something like that, people, algorithm do play a role. Because वो कहते हैं ना कि करंट अफेयर्स की तरह है, what is something which is deeply touching with the audience emotions, what they are consuming right now, we have to take care of it. So what people are searching for, how it is going to help your audience. So recently when I uploaded this thing, like that particular CA who, like we had a sad demise due to overworking into a company, like MNC thing,
Yes.
Pune ka
Eva.
incident. So yeah,
Eva.
EY thing. So I created a reel around it, and when I uploaded it on YouTube and Instagram, I got a good growth with respect to that, because that was the
Yes.
most searched term onto the platforms. So you need to take into consideration like what people are searching for. Again, we did talk about those controversial topics, or like what is running right now into the industry. So right, we have this election fever, so we can talk about. Now will be in December, we can talk about the resolutions. सब लोग बात करते हैं उसके बारे में, करता कितने कितने लोग हैं पता नहीं है. So that is something that we have to see. So the more you talk about that, the algorithm will be able to pick that. Because what is algorithm? It's all about like whatever thing we are searching for, or whatever information we are feeding, it's just giving you back. So अगर हम कोई एक ad देखते हैं, right now if we talk about like I want to go on a tour of Paris, so immediately my Instagram, it's still listening right now, like microphones on होते हैं. So the
Yeah.
next moment I'll be able to see the Eiffel Tower and all what aspects of the France. So it's all about that. So algorithm will always impact your growth, but you can't totally rely on it, क्योंकि वो एवर चेंजिंग है, एंड योर स्ट्रेटेजी ऑल्सो चेंजेस. So at times right now, if you're doing one-to-one recordings or like the guest interviews, you may switch on to the solo episodes as well. So at that particular point of time, your strategy will differ, and the reaction of algorithm will be different. So I would say that don't just rely on the algorithms of the platform. Try to feed that algorithm which will help you in giving out those results. Because ultimately it's more about the relatability, it's all about the community that you are building with, and the people who you talk often. Because there is always a certain set of people who will support you. They may not be listening or watching your episodes, but on social media platform they will be always encouraging you, and we need those people. Because they are your support pillars, they will always guide you like ये करना चाहिए था, वो करना चाहिए था. So the first time when we interacted, we talked for a longest period of time. So that is
Yeah.
how we build the connection. And once we know the relatability factor, that is how it will fuel the confidence into the people. And again, algorithm भी आ गया, but वो चलाने के लिए इंसान ही है. So the human element will never go away, and people, whatever they want to listen, whatever they want to consume, they will be able to see that.
True. I mean, to reiterate what you just said, that it's important to be on your toes, like on the go as to whatever's happening, catch the market, catch the trends, and I mean, I think work around your content on those lines.
राइट। और कैसे है ना कि डोंट बी अ काइंड ऑफ अ स्लेव टू algorithm, क्योंकि
Yeah.
वायरलिटी फेड्स बट रिलेटेबिलिटी स्टेज। सो दैट इज समथिंग यू नीड टू हैव दैट कंसेप्ट इन योर ओन माइंड कि आप वायरलिटी को चेज करते रहोगे, क्रिएट उस टाइप का कंटेंट। मतलब कि अगर आपको लगता है कि नेचुरल है, कुछ चीज़ें जो सोसाइटी में है उसके बारे में आप बात कर रहे हो, वो ज़्यादा लोग कंज्यूम करते हैं, बट एट द सेम टाइम it should be relatable, it should be like you have to express those feelings, not just to impress the platforms or the mediums out there.
Right, right, right. So, if we, I mean, understand what is the biggest misconception about podcasting according to you?
पॉडकास्टिंग के मिथ्स भी काफ़ी है, मिसकंसेप्शंस भी काफ़ी है। राइट नाउ वन थिंग विच इज़ ट्रेंडिंग इज़ लाइक कि आपको वीडियो ही चाहिए ग्रो करने के लिए, विच इज़ द बिगेस्ट थिंग आई एम लुकिंग एट। एंड मे बी लाइक, बट इफ यू चेक आउट, कहते हैं ना कि एवरी वन इज सेलिंग समथिंग ऑन टू दिस इंटरनेट वर्ल्ड, एंड एवरी वन वॉन्ट्स टू ग्रो। सो
Yeah.
ग्रोथ चाहिए तो पार्टनरशिप्स होते हैं, पार्टनरशिप्स चाहिए तो ब्रांड्स होंगे, ब्रांड्स अपना एजेंडा फुलफिल करना चाहते हैं, but at the same time we have to see like where do we fit into their own agenda, and if we are the right buyer, then we can like we can go into that particular direction. But if it doesn't fit out there, you have to see like what may work in near future. So it's not just about the video thing, it's more about like how that approach is going to help you. So if I'm plugging in my service into this episode, if I'm getting a call for my consultation with respect to like I want to start a podcast, that would be a win. And that can happen through video or audio. Both are feasible. बट देर इज़ मोर प्रोबेबिलिटी कि अगर मैं इसकी एक क्लिप बना के डाल दूँ तो लोगों को ज़्यादा समझेगा कि मैंने इसके बारे में बात की है। सो प्रोज एंड कॉन्स है, बट यू डोंट नीड दैट पर्टिकुलर थिंग। और एक चीज़ है कि पीपल जस्ट ब्लाइंडली टेल यू कि आपको रिसोर्सेज की ज़रूरत नहीं है। दैट इज़ द मिसकंसेप्शन आई वुड से। यू नीड रिसोर्सेज। विद द रिसोर्सेज पॉडकास्टिंग इज़न्ट ईजी, बिकॉज इट्स नॉट जस्ट अबाउट रिकॉर्डिंग, इट्स देर
Yeah.
इज़ मोर टू दैट। क्योंकि मैंने लॉन्गेस्ट पीरियड ऑफ टाइम पॉडकास्टिंग के सारे एक्टिविटीज़ करे हैं। आई क्रिएटेड माई ओन ग्राफिक्स, आई क्रिएटेड माई ओन क्लिप्स, रिकॉर्ड एडिटिंग भी करी है। सो इट्स ऑल अबाउट लाइक यू हैव टू बी अ मास्टर ऑफ ऑल, but you don't become a jack because you can't master all of it, you don't come from that background. But
Right.
to give out a good quality you need resources, a good mic, a good webcam is must. Then podcasting gives you a lot of money that has been told by various brands. It's not
Hmm.
true, because you just have to fight right for it. What kind of money you are looking forward to, how much you are going to earn. There is a basic difference, Anushka. एक होता है पॉडकास्टिंग एज अ बिजनेस, और दूसरा होता है पॉडकास्टिंग फॉर अ बिजनेस। एज अ बिजनेस में वो हम स्टूडियो में जा रहे, रिकॉर्ड कर रहे हैं, पीपल, आर टीम इज टेकिंग केयर ऑफ, वी आर हैविंग लाइक ब्रांड स्पॉन्सरशिप्स वगैरह, वो सारी चीज़ें हो रही है, बिकॉज देर यू इंटरेक्ट विद दोज पीपल हु इज गोइंग टू हेल्प यू टू ग्रो योर ओन शो एज वेल, और उनका भी प्रमोशन होता है, दे हैव गॉट सर्विसेज. So if I call a Shantanu Deshpande of Bombay Shaving Company, he may going to sell his products accordingly. So वो सारी चीज़ें हैं. And for a business में ऐसा है कि I am a finance person, you are a law person, and if you're talking about like if you want to fight a case or anything, you are into corporate law, if someone is willing to draft something, तो वो आपकी तरफ आ सकते हैं, यू कैन चार्ज देम फॉर योर सर्विस बिकॉज यू हैव द बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर सब्जेक्ट टॉपिक. सो वो दो डिफरेंसेस अगर लोगों के दिमाग में क्लियर है, पॉडकास्टिंग फॉर अ बिजनेस और एज अ बिजनेस, those misconceptions and myths will be really clear for them, because right now what people see is that they have to talk about each and every aspect of it, तब जाके मुझे ग्रोथ मिलेगी. ज़रूरी नहीं है. You can stick with your own niche, you can stick with your own theme, you can stick with your own comfort. That is how your authentic self will come out. So accordingly you have to see, and if you are able to manage all of this, I feel that most of the common notions or the misconceptions would go away. So I would love to highlight those.
So, like you've highlighted some of the misconceptions. There's one more that I would like to add, which is physical versus online uh, podcasts. And I mean, again, it's probably a misconception that people say that physical is something which is more trending, and people like to watch that better. So, I mean, would you term it as a misconception, or do you think that that's the reality or the fact?
See, it's more about what you are comfortable with and how much you are willing to spend into it. For the audience, it's more about like कि मुझे वो देखना पसंद है. So they are looking at those fancy sofas, exteriors, वो सारा setup देख रहे हैं, mic देख रहे हैं, lights आते हैं, जगमगाट है. But then, do they really know how much it costs to create that kind of a episode and how much you're going to get from it? So I won't say that it's not necessary. Again, the more efforts you put into it, the better you will grow. बट देन यू शुड बी विलिंग टू इन्वेस्ट इन टू इट. कुछ कुछ लोगों के मैंने पोस्ट देखे कि जो अब उनके पास फाइनेंशियल कहते हैं ना कि कैपेसिटी नहीं बची है आफ्टर डूइंग अ लॉट ऑफ स्टूडियो सेटअप पॉडकास्ट बिकॉज अर्निंग्स नहीं हो रही है. हाउ मच टाइम विल यू रिलाई ऑन लाइक कि वो ग्रोथ पैटर्न आ जाए, मैं नंबर्स को प्रेजेंट करूंगा लोगों को, फिर ब्रांड्स आएंगे, फिर स्पॉन्सरशिप्स मिलेंगे, फिर मैं कुछ सेल कर पाऊंगा. Gone are the days. People want quick results. So does the viewer perception changes. आज एक देख रहे कल दूसरा कुछ प्रेफर करेंगे. So accordingly, having that projecting that particular view is quite harmful for the industry. We don't have to rely on that. वहाँ पे भी क्या होता है, साइड व्यू ही देख रहे हो ना आप. यहाँ पे तो भी चेहरे आमने सामने हैं, वहाँ पे तो साइड व्यू आ रहा है, आप बस एक ही साइड देख रहे हो. सो it doesn't matter ultimately if your conversation is engaging, if you are putting out value, if people are able to relate with that, you are winning it already. And as we talked earlier, whatever feel good about, मैंने कुछ ऐसे लोगों को भी देखा है जिन्होंने काफ़ी इन्वेस्ट किया बिकॉज दे हैड मनी और उनके पास है भी इन्वेस्ट करने के लिए, एंड दे हैव ग्रोन टू लैक्स एंड लैक्स ऑफ सब्सक्राइबर्स starting from zero through that one to one or the studio setup thing. So it's all about the efforts, all about the money that you want to put in. और किसी के लिए जस्ट वो फिर से रिएटरेट कर सकते हैं हम, फॉर अ बिजनेस एज अ बिजनेस. वो एज अ
Right.
बिजनेस हो गया तो फिर दिन रात आप वही कर रहे हो, तो उसमें यू वोंट बी टेकिंग अ बैक फुट लाइक कि अब मैं इन्वेस्ट नहीं करूंगा. सो वो
True.
चीज़ है.
True, true, absolutely agreed. And like about these, like we were talking about like the physical setup and the kind of things that it costs to release one particular episode. But people like Ranveer alllahbadia, Raj Shamani, or on purpose Jay Shetty for that matter, they have grown really, really big. And of course, with the kind of probably the resources that they have. But what is your take on their growth metrics? Like, and also, do you feel that these podcasts are like scripted?
Sure. So talking about their growth metrics, as I shared about like what Raj Shamani and their team have been doing, the ECG format of content, we did talk about that. So if we take a look back at their own content creation journey, Ranveer Alabadia was a creator. He used to vlog and all that particular stuff into fitness thing. Jay Shetty was a monk and he used to create the content around it. Raj Shamani was also into business and all that particular thing. He had a family business, Ujaga, something like the detergents and that they were into. But then he wanted to create a different path. I admire Raj Shamani. So that is something that we have to see. But these people already had the audience. And once you have the audience, it becomes quite easier to grow into that domain because ultimately people are looking forward to it. So right now, if I'm having an audience of say like 10,000 on one platform, if I start creating something new, I'll be having that ready-made audience which already resonated with my content. So I'm not losing that audience. So I'll be attracting more 10,000 with whatever I'm creating on a new basis. So that is how you grow. And those people just inculcated all that particular stuff because they knew like digital is their future. If they aren't active online, they'll be doing something which is different. And again, some people then pivoted, like one had their own clothing brand and all that particular stuff. It's more about like the branding stuff that you get into. You're selling all other stuff with respect to that. if you talk about other people out there, someone is selling finance course, someone is selling like how to market yourself, like marketing के कुछ courses है, whatever you are into. If someone is into self help, तो उनका कुछ एक self mastery course होता है. So there are various opportunities. Right now, if I am good at self help thing, I can take a ICF certification, then I become a coach, and then I take my own sessions, which is like I'll be passing on message from my podcast, and I'll be attracting more and more audience on my master class and something like that. So which is, कहते हैं कि ये सारी चीज़ें आसान है, बट करने का वो एक तरीका, वो एक अप्रोच होना चाहिए. यू शुड बी हैविंग फेथ. हमारे इसमें क्या होता है कि मोस्ट एंड मोर पीपल फेल टू फिगर इट आउट कि यार ये अप्रोच से लोग हंसेंगे, ये अप्रोच ये क्या क्या कर रहा है, तो ज़रूरी है क्या? बट इट्स अ मनी मेकिंग एक्टिविटी, यू हैव टू डू दैट with the business. The way you interact with the client, the way you try to sell your products, same you have to apply into the podcasting as well. And that is like with the podcasting, you have those avenues. Once you're talking, people already get resonated, यार क्या बंदा है, क्या बंदी है, कितने deep thoughts है. So if we talk about Karishma का जो Humans of Bombay है, what like she started something just as a storytelling platform on Facebook, now become a became a podcaster. Now she has got a storytelling class as well. So you just have to understand the step by step efforts those people have taken into consideration and what you are creating out of it. But that is possible when you establish yourself as a kind of a authority figure into it. So if I'm not well learned about podcasting, if I'm not learning more and more about it, people won't be learning. So you just have to take that step, build something that you can always talk about, people will be resonating with you as well. So that would be my advice to each and everyone.
Yeah, I think that's how people are getting into it. Even Ankur Warikoo, for that matter,
Yeah.
he's gotten out some course about learning all about Instagram, growing on
Yeah,
Instagram.
time
There's again,
management as well.
yeah, and there's Ranveer alllahbadia who's also like all about podcasting. He has courses on that. So, I mean, yes, definitely, it starts from somewhere, but it grows on to, of course, into a business, like you said.
Right. And there is a buyer for each and every product and service into the market. You just need to know how you can sell into it.
Yeah. And of course, identify the gap. I mean, like
हाँ,
you said, few
ज़रूरी है.
years back, there was nobody in the market who was teaching podcasting. So,
वो है मतलब, और कहते हैं ना कि the trends are changing on a daily basis. Whatever we
yeah.
talked earlier may be redundant right now because there is always a lot to learn. So it's all about those. And approach differs. किसी एक ने बोला कि ये सही है तो ऐसा नहीं है कि this is the right approach. You have to try your own approaches as well.
Yeah, like keep doing that trial and error.
Yeah,
You never know what suits you better.
right.
So, like these people are, ye to hai, like we spoke about some of the examples of the podcasters, but even like these bigger platforms like Netflix is getting into podcasting these days. But so, do you feel that podcasting is now becoming really oversaturated in the market?
I won't say that. It's just because we are podcasters, we will always feel that. कहते हैं ना कि बैटल ग्राउंड
Right.
सबको सिक्योर करना होता है.
True,
So we
true.
don't want competition, we don't more want more people. But whenever I see someone who is quite active into that field, who is, I get that kind of a notion कि ये कितने दिन करने वाले हैं और फिर इनका अप्रोच क्या है. You get to know that because uh, you understand their curiosity, you understand their expertise. वो एक
Yeah.
कन्वर्सेशन करने का तरीका, वॉट एवर दे द वे दे आर डूइंग, दे ट्राई टू गेट मोर इन टू इट. सो आई वोंट से दैट इट इज सैचुरेटेड, बट एज आई सेड अर्लियर, एक मैच्योरिटी फेज आएगा वेर अभी ये जो ब्रांडेड शोज हो रहे हैं ये ट्रैक करेंगे अपनी ग्रोथ मेट्रिक को. राइट नाउ वी सी मिलियंस एंड थाउजेंड्स ऑफ व्यूज ऑन अ रील, एंड वी हैव अ नोशन कि इनके पॉडकास्ट एपिसोड्स पे भी उतने व्यूज होंगे, बट दैट इज नॉट ट्रू.
Okay.
अल्गोरिदम को क्रैक करने का एक हर एक का मार्केटिंग का अप्रोच अलग अलग है. फ्यू पीपल आर एक्सपर्ट इन टू द ऑर्गेनिक ग्रोथ. आई हैव इंटरेक्टेड विथ वन पर्सन, दे बॉट समवन हु इज जस्ट फोकसिंग ऑन यूट्यूब ऑर्गेनिक ग्रोथ इन टू देयर ओन स्टूडियो, लाइक उनके पॉडकास्ट के लिए. अभी वो कैसे काम करेगा, आई ट्रैक द रिजल्ट्स, बट आई हैव सीन लाइक पीपल हैविंग thousands and thousands views on to their reels. But if I go on to their YouTube channel, I have seen like 700 800 views onto the long form of content. So we just have to see like कि awareness create हो रहा है, but are people tuning into it? I don't go by the metrics of like kitne views aaye, because I'm myself not tracking those metrics on a daily basis. So it's all about like कि value कितना create हो रहा है, उससे अगर कुछ inquiries आ रहे हैं with respect to any of the business thing, that is good. So saturation won't come so soon. It's more about the phase of like create more and see like where you lie out there, because each and every one person wants to do. So if someone is chartered accountant, if they are into like startup things and all that particular stuff, they are talking more with the angel investors, VC and all that particular people. So it's more about the fact that कि किसको क्या सूट हो रहा है, how they are willing to grow. But yeah, more and more people are seeking help of the experts into it. So saturation नहीं होगा, अभी तो नहीं है मतलब, for that matter, because right now when we were building this Indian podcast list where we focus on independent podcasters, हमने वो एक directory बनाई है podcast की. तो हम independent podcasters को जब ढूंढ रहे, तो it was very difficult to find them, because then there are many shows out there, but then उसको फिर सर्च कैसे करेंगे, उनके साथ बातें कैसे करेंगे. So that was the purpose, and then we realized कि there are many shows out there which needs a kind of attention, but they are not exclusively focusing themselves to market themselves. So that particular directory solves that problem. So हमने वो बात उस टाइम पे जाने की, अभी तक मार्केट सैचुरेट नहीं हुआ है. नहीं तो वो मुश्किल हो जाता है टू how to have them on your platform, because you are able to find them easily, you are reaching out to them, but it's right now hard to find them. So that is how it is.
That's a good news then for everybody who's just wanting to start out also
Yep.
in this journey. And because I've always, had this thought कि start तो कर लिया, but you never know कि everybody is going to become the host, तो बचेगा कौन सुनने के लिए?
That is the reason you have to share your own knowledge as well. So if you plan to have solo episodes, go for it, don't think more about it, because people start resonating with Anushka as well, because
Yeah,
then they try to establish, no, this person, I have to follow her content. That is how it grows.
true that. So, do you think as a podcaster, so you've had like a really good chunk of experience into this journey, do you think that you have a responsibility to address social issues through your podcasting?
Definitely, I have been doing that. I love doing that. Uh, I have been biggest cheerleader of women empowerment, because I feel that we need to talk more about it. So if you check out my podcast, there have been the instances where most of the guests have been women, because I feel that there are a lot of unheard voices into the society. They need the platform, they need the voice, and they want to share their own stories as well. They want to share their work and how we are going to elevate them. So that is something that we have to see. And if you are capable of doing that, no matter what people say, no matter what opinions people have got, you just have to keep doing that. And social issues, like मैंने कहते हैं ना कि जब मैंने वो menstruation का episode किया था, me and my entire family were traveling and I listened, like I played that episode and I made everyone to listen to that, be it male, female, irrespective of that. So it's more about what right information we can pass on to the audience. हमेशा कभी कभी कुछ ऐसे कहते हैं ना कि टैबू टॉपिक्स होते हैं जहाँ पे बातें ही नहीं होती है, यू आर नॉट कंफर्टेबल, आई एम नॉट कंफर्टेबल, पीपल ट्राई जजिंग कि यार पहली बार मिल रहे हैं, ये कैसा टॉपिक इसने बात कर लिया, या फिर वाई ही इज डूइंग दैट, वाई इज सो डेस्परेट अबाउट दैट. बट इट्स नॉट अबाउट लाइक कि इसको ज़्यादा व्यूज़ मिलेंगे, लाइक्स मिलेंगे, बट इट्स मोर अबाउट लाइक कि द राइट इन्फॉर्मेशन इज अवेलेबल, यू कैन चेक आउट माई प्लेटफॉर्म. सो सोशल इश्यूज जो भी हो, it could be of any type, it could be of any genre, it could be of uh, any extent, be it small or big. The impact that you are going to create through your channel, through your medium, will always be a biggest kind of a learning experience for you and the people who are doing work into it, so they feel acknowledged कि यार नहीं,
Yeah.
हमारी किसी बात को एक कहते हैं ना कि एक्नॉलेज किया गया है. एंड दैट इज रीजन.
That's a really nice point you've put out. And yeah, I mean, because it's such a great platform and you already have that kind of audience, so why not address such social issues? And of course, these all issues are trending issues. And like you said, it's going to go for a long time.
Yeah.
ऐसा नहीं है कि it's just for the virality that you are addressing it. ये तो it's going to
Right.
be for like every woman out there in every age.
हाँ,
So
मतलब कि वो तो हमेशा कहते हैं ना कि एक विमेन का व्यू डिफरेंट होगा, एक मेन का व्यू डिफरेंट होगा. हाउ वी
Absolutely.
सी टू इट, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ जजमेंट्स, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ कंक्लूजन वी आर हैविंग टू इट विल अगेन डिफर. बट देन लर्निंग एक्सपीरियंस सबका सिमिलर कभी नहीं होता है. इट्स मोर ऑफ कि कोई किसी चीज़ को गलत ही ठहराएगा, कोई चीज़ को सही कहेगा. यू कीप डूइंग योर जॉब, रेस्ट ऑफ द थिंग्स लाइक पीपल कैन फिगर इट आउट ऑफ देयर ओन.
Yeah, you very rightly said that. Ki even like on a topic like menstrual cycle, I think a woman against a woman will also have two different views. Well, on the men.
हाँ,
So,
मतलब कि वो है ही सारी चीज़ें। बहुत
yeah,
ज़्यादा
yeah,
इनके बारे
absolutely.
में बात करके भी कभी-कभी कुछ हल नहीं निकलता है, बट वी कांट डू
Yes.
मच अबाउट इट। इट्स ऑल अबाउट कहते हैं ना इंड्यूस्ड इनटू आवर ओन कल्चर। वी कांट से दैट कि यही सही तरीका है, यही गलत तरीका है। वी कैन जस्ट मेक आवर पॉइंट एंड लेट देम नो कि ये मेरा पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू है।
Absolutely. And the ones who resonate will definitely like
या
resonate very well with you. The others will be like critics. So it's okay.
हाँ।
That's so, Rohit, if I have to ask you one last question, what is like your ultimate podcasting goal with your podcast?
So, the goal of podcasting keeps differing with me on a timely basis because, as I said earlier, like I'm a curious soul. I just keep on doing a lot of things. I see like ये काम कर रहा है, ये नहीं कर रहा है. So, with the if I talk about goal, I want more and more podcasters into the forum of the industry. I want to have those conversation with respect to that. I want to guide more and more people into it because I feel creative more of a on a creative side when I craft those episodes for them. I never go into the scripting part because what I feel is कि जो आपकी expertise होती है सब्जेक्ट की वो आपकी आईपी होती है एंड आई कांट मेंड दैट फॉर यू बिकॉज if I try to say कि ये गलत है ये सही है then you won't be able to present your best self. So you have to see to that particular part as well. But then what elements will suit where on a timely basis and what is the right way of doing that, that is something that I want to focus more on in coming days. Then it's more about like how I can build my own product line through the podcasting as well with respect to the various resources. As I said earlier and talked earlier, like the coaching is something which is on my mind, but I'm not taking a plunge anytime soon into it. बट कहते हैं रिटायरमेंट प्लानिंग के लिए कुछ सोचना पड़ता है. सो द मोर you grow with the age, people start respecting you and they feel that you have got more experience. So uski
True.
ek planning hai and that is something that I want to start with it, and podcasting will always be the soul of it. If any time podcasting starts feeling like कि अभी कुछ बन नहीं रहा है या फिर कहते हैं ना कि फिजल आउट हो रहा है तब देखेंगे मतलब कि बट आई एम नॉट अ काइंड ऑफ अ पर्सन हु विल प्लान फॉर नेक्स्ट 5 years एंड स्टिक टू दैट पर्टिकुलर थिंग. मैं कभी कभी my content creation, my podcast creation is on the go. I don't write scripts. Will be having talking points. फिलहाल अभी स्टोरी टेलिंग अप्रोच के लिए मैं वो सारी चीज़ें कर रहा हूँ बट विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू माई सोलो एपिसोड्स इट्स ऑल अबाउट लाइक इफ आई रेजोनेट विद दैट पर्सन और द टॉपिक आई विल बी डूइंग दैट. विद द गेस्ट एपिसोड्स इज द सेम. मैं थरो स्टडी वगैरह नहीं करता हूँ. आई फील दैट दिस टॉपिक शुड बी एड्रेस्ड. I I go on lookout for the guest around that particular topic. I call them, record, and put out the episode. So it's kind of a short term planning that I love to do and see where it goes. Long term का जैसे जैसे evolve होगा platform, I'll try to make changes accordingly. So right now, the more will be guiding the budding podcasters, helping them out in any of the way, and all that particular stuff that I would love to do into the podcasting area.
So, guys, you know the point of contact. That's Rohit for you to understand all your, I mean, everything about podcasting. And of course, I'm really hoping that he has given out so many great insights on this particular episode. And that's definitely going to be very, very helpful for each one of us out there in this particular journey. But I really wanted to point out one thing, and I have been viewing your t-shirt since the really like since the start of the podcast, and I wanted to like really talk about your logo. So that's also a really great I think great way of promoting your podcast because it's
Yeah.
out there and I can completely view it as a viewer. So that's a great one out there. And like I mean, I love the kind of designing you've done for
Right.
the. I think it represents a clock
Yeah, it's clock and life.
and
Yeah.
life. Yeah. So like life goes around, you are all around the clock, and that's how life is. But I just wanted to understand, why is that 4 o'clock? Because it's L,
Yeah,
or does
it's
it
L
have
just
some
because.
particular?
No, nothing
Okay.
like that. It's just L. I have another t-shirt which is into the black and it says like be obsessively grateful, because
Oh,
life is something that you get to live for once, and you have to make best use of it, because at the end of the day, if you're going to regret about a lot of things that you couldn't do or you wish you could have done, uh, that is not going to add years into your life. It's all about like be grateful. And that is like when I came up with this name, it was just all about glitters कि यार ये चमकने वाली चीज है, and
hmm.
what elements we can focus of life that keeps on glittering. So that was glitters of life. Motivation spark, again spark was something like life is a keyword, motivation is a keyword that you need.
Yes.
Again a podcasting thing that we have to focus on. But spark was something like it gives you a kind of a edge. मैं उस प्रकार का इंसान नहीं हूँ जो कि मैं कहूँगा ये 10 चीजें कर लो आपकी लाइफ सॉर्टेड है. No, I
Hmm.
can just talk about something which I feel deeply resonated with. It is you who have to take those particular steps. Application आपका काम है. So it's all about that particular thing, and glitters came from that particular thing. Spark came from that element. So motivation spark and glitters of life, this is the kind of a logic behind the naming of shows. And again, I'm curious about life. I want to understand life way better than others around me can understand. I'm a keen observer, I would say. So that keeps me hooked to the concept of life.
Amazing. And I think I also kind of, I'm also on the similar lines.
Yeah.
I also am a very curious person, and that's what got me into podcasting. I'll share that with you. So, I mean, yeah, about life, about people in general, everything. It's all about curiosity and the spark. Like something
Right.
needs to spark your curiosity. And
Absolutely, because whenever I meet new people, I would be definitely up for meeting you in person. Because that
absolutely.
is something that we have to see, like what that person is able to offer through their like life. It's not just about these conversations, and one fine day you go offline and then you don't look back at each other. You just have to keep those connections intact. So make better connections, take the benefits of it, and have that kind of a feeling intact. So that is all that we have to focus on.
Absolutely. I mean, this was an indeed, I would say, power packed episode. And we just have to, I mean, I have to keep thanking Rohit for all his interesting insights. And I mean, I would deeply value all of your insights that you've given us. And the experience is like tremendous, what all you've shared with us. So, again, a big thank you for joining today and sharing your valuable experience with us. Um, and if you enjoyed, to all my listeners, if you enjoyed watching this episode, be sure to again like, subscribe, and show your love to us so that we keep getting, again, real stories on the show. And also let me know if you want to particularly gain a particular insight into any industry, or any particular profession. So please do let me know in the comments below, and I'm sure to work around that for you guys. Definitely follow my page on Instagram and spread the word. Until next time, stay curious and stay receptive. See you soon. Bye bye.